I didn't ask to come to this country. My mother brought me here when I was aged 1 3/4 because my father told her to. But it was my decision to stay here all my life. And the reason I stayed in Britain is because I want to live in a free country. A country which gives me 3 things which are inseparable: political freedom, economic freedom, and religious freedom. In my 15 minutes, I want to do 3 things. Tell you a bit more about myself, share my reasons for being a Conservative, and explain why I want you to vote Conservative in the local elections on May the 3rd. So let me start with my personal background. I was born in a village in the Punjab in Pakistan. There were no schools, and that's why my father told my mother to bring me to the UK. My parents were very poor and could not read or write. I grew up in the slums of Manchester, in areas, Chorlton on Medlock you may have heard of, probably not these days, it's where the university is, and in Moss Side, which almost everybody's heard of. And from that background, I passed the 11+ exam and I went to a state grammar school. And from there, I got a place at Clare College, Cambridge, and did a mathematics degree. After a year teaching, I trained as a chartered accountant, and after qualifying, specialised in taxation. In 1990, I became the second ethnic minority person and the first Muslim to become a partner in Price Waterhouse in the UK. Today, that firm is called PricewaterhouseCoopers and is the largest professional services firm in the UK. And I retired at the end of 2009. I never forget how generous God has been to me. And when I went on Hajj to Mecca in 2002, I realised how I should spend my life once I was no longer working at PwC. As a result, since I retired, I spend my time making this world a better place. I know that sounds very grand, but everybody can make the world a better place. If on your way home you pick up some litter and put it in the bin, you've done something to make the world better. So I spend my time making this world a better place in 3 ways. Giving one-to-one advice to people for free, personal coaching and mentoring. I'm involved with many organisations. The ones that take most of my time are being chairman of the Conservative Muslim Forum, part of the Conservative Party, and being co-chair of the Muslim Jewish Forum of Greater Manchester. I won't give you a long list of my other organisations. And also I write and I speak and appear in the media. So why am I a Conservative? As a child of poor working class parents, I grew up supporting the Labour Party just like my father did. Most people from my background do that. I took a detour into Trotskyism at university before returning to mainstream Labour. And I felt absolutely gutted by the 1979 general election when Margaret Thatcher got elected as Prime Minister. A year or so later, around 1980, I joined the old Liberal Party for a couple of years. They're the party that became the Liberal Democrats after they merged with the Social Democratic Party. But in 1983, I left the Liberal Party to join the Conservative Party. And I've been a Conservative ever since. So why? The reason I joined the Conservative Party is very simple. Television. I watched on TV Milton Friedman's series Free to Choose, and that convinced me of the virtues of capitalism and free markets. You can still find that series on YouTube. It's a 10-part series, and watching that television series and then reading Milton Friedman's book convinced me about free market capitalism, how to run an economy, and of course that's what the Conservative Party believes, and it's what the Labour Party and the Socialists frankly don't believe. People belong to political parties for different reasons. And for me, there are 5 key reasons for being a Conservative. First of all, successful people make successful societies. Some people are simply more talented or more hard-working than others. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple, he made enormous amounts of money for himself and for Apple's other shareholders. But at the same time, he improved the lives of millions of Apple customers by creating iPhones for them to buy. Socialists, like Conservatives, want a better society. I will give them that. Nobody wants a worse society. But socialists, I see them as wanting a better society, but a society without any exceptionally successful people. And that's why they're obsessed with inequality. Socialists believe that if somebody is very rich, their success must have come from taking something away from other people by making other people poorer. And it's just not true. Socialists just don't understand that wealth can be created out of nowhere that previously did not exist at all. And that is what successful people do. That's what Steve Jobs did. The second reason is that I'm the person who's best placed to make decisions about myself and my life. Once I've earned my money, it's mine. And I'm the best person who is best placed to decide how that money should be spent. Socialists are far too keen on taking money away from people so that the socialists can decide how it should be spent. Reason number 3, the state should only do what the state does best. The state is terrible at running businesses. Every time it does it incredibly badly. Businesses operate best when they are run by the people who own them or by people who are chosen by the owners. The UK used to own an enormous list of businesses: steel companies, telephone companies, water companies, electricity companies, aeroplane companies, tourism companies, car companies, you name it. The Conservative Party sold them off. And now those businesses operate much more efficiently than when the state owned them. However, there are some things that only the state can do. The correct economics name for those things is what are called public goods. That's a defined term in economics. And examples are external defence, the civil justice system, the police force, maintaining a diplomatic service, that kind of thing. And government is the only entity that can provide public goods. Nobody else can do it. But the government should never run any businesses. Also, apart from public goods, sometimes it is genuinely efficient for the state to provide a service. And the best example I can give you is the National Health Service. Healthcare is far more efficiently provided in the UK than it is, for example, in the USA. The evidence is that Britons live longer than Americans. And that's despite the fact that the USA spends twice as much as a share of its national income on healthcare than the UK spends. So I'm a realist. Sometimes government spending is essential because we cannot run society without it, but government spending is never automatically always a good thing. The problem with socialists is that they've got a very simple mindset. Government spending good, private spending bad. That's how they see the world, and that leads them to make many bad decisions. And finally, Conservatives are willing to take tough decisions. From 2010 to 2015, the Conservative-led coalition government cut more than 1 million public sector jobs. I'm sure that none of the people who lost their jobs wanted to get fired. However, we needed to do it for the good of the economy. It cut the cost of the public services concerned, saving all of us money. And what's quite interesting is that despite the services costing you and me less, in many cases, customer satisfaction levels of those services went up. We simply, as a country, became better at providing these services for less money, better quality services for less cost with less people. And meanwhile, far more jobs were created by the private sector. So despite 1 million public sector jobs disappearing, the total number of jobs in the country went up and unemployment went down. And that shows why it's important to be able to take tough decisions. So let me now finally turn to the elections on May the 3rd. This election is about who runs Islington. I'm not an expert on the issues of Islington, and I will leave that to our candidate, Mohammed Amin. But there is something I do want to mention. And that is the big difference between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party when it comes to local government. The Conservative Party never forgets that local government is spending your money. Local government has to provide services that are good value for money. And of course you can't run a local authority without staff. I've never yet seen any local authority that doesn't employ people. It's impossible. But the only purpose for having those staff is to provide good value for money services. The staff are not the reason why the local authority exists, and it's not the reason why the local authority is spending your money. With the Labour Party, the attitudes are completely the opposite. To be honest, I think the Labour Party believes that the staff are the main purpose, or one of the main purposes, for the local authority's existence. Fundamentally, the Labour Party seems to measure its success by how much money the local authority can spend, not by what it achieves, which is exactly the same as their approach to national government. I still remember Gordon Brown, when he was Chancellor of the Exchequer, boasting year after year about how much more money the government is spending on this or how much more money it's spending on that, rather than boasting about what that spending was actually achieving. Finally, do I think the Conservative Party is perfect? Categorically no. All human activity is imperfect. All political parties are imperfect. The real question is this: out of all of these imperfect political parties, which one will govern better than the others? The Conservative Party is the party that runs this country better than Labour, and the Conservative Party is the party that will run Islington better than Labour. Thank you.